warm welcome to you this beautiful Thursday morning. Welcome to the show. It's Atlantic Blowout, and of course on your favorite TV, Atlantic Television Network. Good to have you join us on this Thursday morning. You know what we do on the show? We'll look at what's trending and we'll talk about it. We'll analyze them. We'll give in-depth analysis and, of course, get stakeholders' opinion concerning this trending issue. But straight up, let's look at what's trending. Justice Gideon Kudura of the Kaduna State High Court has acquitted and discharged the leader of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zazaki, and his wife, Zenat Ibrahim, who have been standing trial in the court for the past 4 years. In a judgment delivered, Justice Kurada said the case was not shown nor proven by the prosecutor. El-Zazak and his wife, Zenat, are standing trial on 8 counts bordering on alleged culpable homicide, unlawful assembly, disruption of public peace, among others. The defendant had pleaded not guilty to the charges preferred against him. The couple has been in detention since 2015 after IMN supporters clashed with soldiers in Zaire. In the meantime, a human rights advocate in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, High King, has expressed worry over the failure of the Department of State Service to produce Kanu in court. High King, in an interview with Atlantic Television Network, said the court did the right thing by not proceeding with the case despite the presence of weaknesses in court. He said it is impossible for such a matter to proceed without a faith from the Chief Judge of the High Court. Let's hear King.
In criminal trial, the defendant or the accused person must be in court. Emphasis must be in court. You cannot try an accused person in his absence. It's like shaving a man's hair while he is not there. You go to the barber and you ask them to shave my head. Because why is it like that? It's like that because the accused person or the defendant must look at every witness that appears to testify against him. He must know them, he must see them, but although other witnesses are not allowed to be in court, but the defendant must see people that are accusing him so that he will be able to defend himself. There's also a constitutional provision, fair hearing. I should hear you. I should know what you are accusing me of. So if I know what you are accusing me, I'll be able to defend myself. But if you say something while I'm not there, how will I know what you said? How will I defend myself?
After called on the federal government to allow Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer have access to him.
That is lack of fair hearing. Even the lawyer alleged yesterday that for the past 10 days, they've not allowed him to see his client, and that he has it on good record that he has been taken out of jurisdiction. That was why they didn't bring them in court. But those facts were not before or the court. I mean, allegation by the lawyer. That I think is unfair. You must, his lawyers, doctors must be given access to see him. You cannot isolate. If you do that, it will even weigh on his behalf. At the end of the day, it could help in discharging him. So for me, what's wrong with the lawyer coming to see him? The lawyer should see him because even the Administration of Criminal Justice Act or law as applies in all the states of Nigeria, which is universal law that we apply. And I said a defendant or an accused person must not make a statement. If he says, I will not make a statement until I see my lawyer, it's legal.
47 out of the 48 protesters arrested and detained by the Nigerian police force for holding European Nation rally in Lagos on July 4, 2021 have now been released. They were released by the police after meeting the bail condition. The police, which had warned the agitators against holding any rally in the state, clamped down on them and arrested some of them. A 14-year-old girl, Jumoke Oyeleke, was also allegedly killed by a stray bullet from a police gun. A magistrate court in Yaba, Lagos State, had on July 19th granted bail to all the agitators except one of them. Tanjuddin Bakari, who was accused of killing the minor. A motion for the bail application was filed by the human rights lawyers led by Olusupo Ojo and Oludakbo Kayode. The court had ruled that one of their sureties must be a family member and the other community leader or clergy with a proof of tax payments. In other stories, gunmen have abducted 7 officers of the Nigerian Navy in Edo State. It was gathered that the officers were ambushed and kidnapped along Sapele Warri Road while traveling to Delta State from Kaduna State. The State Police Public Relations Officer SP Kotongons Bello confirmed the incident, saying the police were able to rescue 5 of them from the kidnappers. The PPRO, who was unable to give details of the incident, said the command was working hard to ensure the remaining officers were also rescued unhurt. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Army has banned soldiers from traveling on the Damaturu-Maiduguri Road in Borno State over the continued rise in the adoption of hitmen in the area. A source in the army shared a letter containing the detective with journalists. According to the letter, approval of passes for soldiers would be suspended till August 21. Away from that, the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board has cleared and released the UTME results for over 14,600 candidates that were previously under investigation, while withholding the results of 93 others. The board's head, Media and Publicity, Fabian Benjamin, disclosed this in a statement in Abuja on Tuesday. Benjamin said that the results were released following the consideration and approval of recommendations of the investigators at a management meeting held on Tuesday. The Confederation of African Football has banned the captain of Eyimba Football Club, Oladapo Augustine, for a year over a doping violation. Announcing the ban via a statement on Monday, CAF said it found the prohibited substance prednisolone and prednisone in the urine sample collected from Oladapo after the Total CAF Confederation Cup 2020-2021 first leg. Fixture in Cairo, prednisone is an anti-inflammatory steroid prescribed to treat conditions such as asthma, coughs, and rheumatologic disease. The ban, according to CAF, commenced from 4th July 2021, the date of notification of the provisional suspension. And that's it on Trend, and we'll go on break, and of course, we'll bring our first guest, and we're looking at a hot topic this morning, so stay with us.
Anchor on the facts, breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide range of topics.
Atlantic Television Network, home for in-depth reportage, facts, professionalism, all the news you need. Atlantic Television Network. Atlantic Television Network.
Atlantic Television Network, anchoring facts.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
But I remain committed to the United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
Sir, my amendment is that Mr. President should be invited to come and explain the situation.
For the Nigerian government to stop killing its people and
Anchor on the facts, breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide range of topics.
Atlantic Television Network, home for in-depth reportage. Facts, professionalism, all the news you need. Atlantic Television Network. Atlantic Television Network.
Atlantic Television Network, anchoring facts.
All right, welcome back. Let's talk women participation in governance. Women's equal participation, leadership, and political and public life are essential to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. However, data shows that women are underrepresented at all levels of decision-making worldwide, and achieving gender parity in political life is far off. Data from 133 countries shows that women constitute 2.18 million, that's 36% of elected members in local deliberative bodies. Only 2 countries have reached 50%, and an additional 18 countries have more than 40% women in local government. A February 2021 Forbes report that only 21 women had served as elected heads of state or governments globally. Another 119 nations, including Nigeria, have never elected a female head of state. This is ironic because the role of women in Nigerian politics began long before independence in 1960. For instance, Nigerian women have taken to the street to fight for the rights and push for beneficial policies for their children and communities. To attain this mandate effectively, they lobbied for seats at the table. The big question here is, as 2023 draw closer, are women prepared to fight for their rights and lobby for seats? That's the big question this morning. Now, joining me via Zoom, a public affairs analyst, Eve Davis Etokwa. Good morning and thanks for joining us. Is she there?
Good morning. Yeah, I think I'm here.
Ivy, good morning. Are you there?
I'm here. Good morning.
Okay, thank you for joining us. And of course, with me in the studio is Pastor Joy Teddy Baya. Good to have you join us this morning in this conversation.
Thank you.
Okay, let me start with you, Eve, before I come to my guest in the studio. Eve, we've observed that from statistics I read before we kickstart this conversation, we saw that women are rarely underrepresented in the decision making. Now, the talk has been there. Of course, we have Calamaris change the narrative of women in the just concluded U.S. election. Of course, we saw a different narrative of women want to take center stage. But bring it down to Nigeria as we look forward, all attention, anticipation, anxiety in the political space get towards the 2023. The big question here is, are women ready to fight for their rights, which is a key position, which is what women in the 1932, in the 1950 did. They fought for their rights. And of course, that fight took them to earn their seats and become part of those who make decisions. As we look forward to 2023, are women ready to fight for their rights and take up seats?
Yeah, I believe the Nigerian woman is ready. I'm very ready to take their place, irrespective of the barriers. Going through history, we find that as every election year comes, their percentage increases, their percentage grows. This is not by accident, by deliberate actions.
Let's see how we can learn from her too.
Their various. But yes, they are ready, and it doesn't matter whether the men are going to give them.
All right, I think we're having our sound challenge. Maybe she had to rectify. Let me come back to you, Teddy. Same question goes to you. Are we ready, are women ready to do what the likes of Femi's mother did in 1950, the likes of Bella Wura did to become a voice in the Western region? Are women actually ready?
Thank you very much. Should I say they are ready or they are not ready? But generally, the women are ready. Why do I say they are ready? The women are ready, but the family values is not ready for them.
When you say family values, put that into proper perspective.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going. if you look at most women, they are so eager to get involved in decision making. Of course, when you talk about getting involved in politics, you are talking about getting involved in decision making, because politics today, whether we like it or not, is the center for decision making that affect every lives. And when a woman said, I'm ready to get involved in the mainstream of the decision-making affairs, and the woman is being restrained by some factors in the families, probably father, husband, elder ones, like, oh, don't get involved, because of what? Violence. Women are not known generally for violence. But today, you will agree with me that the level of politics played in our contemporary society now was never the same. It's not the same as what was done in that 1950 you were referring to. In 1950, there was not much violence in this politics. It was majorly family values, and majority of these people conquered the family values and said, don't worry, let me go, I'm returning. There was nothing like violence there. But this time around, violence has taken over political arena. And the question is, how many women want to go into this violence, forsaking their children? Because when you talk of a woman will tell you more of children than husband or father. A lot is happening right there. So I want to tell you that women are purely ready. But then the society will have to give us security.
Okay, now, you mentioned 2 key points. Family constraint, putting husbands, children, and you mentioned violence. Let me take you back to the fact that violence has been in existence even right from the 1930s,
Sure.
from the 1932. We had the likes of Alimatu Pelerura in 1932. She fought against the Western, the colonial shackles. That was in 1932. She raised her voice to fight for women's rights. That singular heart pushed her forward, made her to go represent her client in London. And when she came back, she became the executive leader of the Young Democrats. In other words, she pushed. There was violence. She never sat down to say, oh, there's violence, the space is not for women, women are subtle, women are soft, we just have to stay back and allow things to work, they need to secure us. She never did that. What she did was to put her voice forward. What she did again was to fight. She never waited for anybody to, waited for anyone to come, maybe take the baton for her, or maybe do the struggle for her. She led women. She put women together. She placed her voice over there, and what happened? She got what she demanded, what she wanted. The big question is, are there women who can actually follow suit this path? She tried it.
Yeah, I love your analysis. But you just mentioned one woman. And in this period and this time, we also have that one woman. They are there, or she's there. There are a lot of them represented, especially in Nigeria here. We have our women in parliament. We have them. When you talk about women taking decision or taking lead in politics, we don't mention 1 to 10 women. When you mention 1 to 10 women's success, you have not made any success. Because if Nigeria has 170 or 200 million people, you should consider 130 to be women. And we are talking about 1 or 10 women. Then have we made success? No, we have not. So there are women who will tell you that, is there violence there? I will go get it. I will fight it. There are a lot of them in our politics today. But I still want to maintain that many of them who has this power to push further, family value has been a constraint. And let me tell you something, whichever we want to maneuver and like, oh, it's not a force. Beloved, it is a force.
Okay, if you put family value as a constraint, what do we say about the WTA president, Okonjo Iweala? She's happily married, she has children, she has a husband.
I still maintain 1 to 10 is not a statistic.
But if we have that one, break the record, And that one mentor other
That
one.
is the reason why I didn't mention Ngozi in the first place. She's there. Do you understand? If we say 1, we have her in Nigeria. We have her. But 1 to 10 is not a statistic to mention when it comes to women involvement in politics. It's totally ironical. It's totally failure. Let me put it that way. Failure. Are you getting me?
Yes.
Now, for example, you so much love politics. And your husband loves politics a lot. In fact, politics is like extension of your life. And you just got married to a politician. And you have told yourself that, in fact, I'm going to do politics until I retire. And the man also said, I will do politics. I will play this politics until I'm retired. Beloved, are you going to contest that? You will step down your own for his.
Okay, now
you will.
You're bringing family. Okay, let me come back to Eve Afrique. Are you there? Ivy, can you hear me now?
I believe I'm here. I hope my voice.
Yes, your sound is clearer now. So let's get your response to my first question.
Okay.
She mentioned the family constraint. She mentioned that the political space is actually porous with violence and all of that. But what's your take on this?
Well, my take is that for starters, the constraints against women are just too many.
Yeah. And
whether we like it or not, the politicians have said it, leaders have said it at different forums. Nobody's going to give it to you. You have to go get it. Looking at today, we agree that the percentage of women, in the fall has greatly improved. And so looking towards 2023, I think we should just forget about the constraints that have been limiting us and forge ahead. And we have already on the table, women who are there. But I heard Ngozi being mentioned. Ngozi would have gone this far, with a lot of passion. If we look at River State where we are now, we see quite some women. And my take is, do away with excuses, do away with limitations, and let's just go for what we ought to go for. Let's go for good. Let's leave all the constraints. Religion is even a major constraint.
Ivy, Teddy mentioned family constraint. She mentioned violence. Do you see these as an obstacle to women being part of?
What I see as an obstacle is religious constraint.
How do you
in church, they teach us that, the woman is the weaker sex. And they tell us that we should be submissive to our husband. And then most of the time, this is what happens. A woman has her head full of ambition, desires, zeal, zest to go be a better woman for her children, a better example of woman. And she has to consider her husband for starters. Exactly. And then she tells her husband, this is what I want to say. No. My wife can't do that. My wife can't do this. My wife can't do that. That is where it starts. In my view, before we go out to, what's happening outside, the violence, the constraints and all of that, from the home front, does she have the backing of her family? Does she have the backing of her husband? Does she have the backing of the church? Is the church supporting her? I think, because they say if the foundation is faulty, the elect, what will the elect do? So I think that, the problem, the, solution should start from the, what do they call it? The foundation, which is the religious belief, the religious tenets that constrain women here, there, and there. That's my take. Before we go out, because I believe that if the woman is empowered from the home, if religion has now empowered her, say, look, go, you can be the Deborah of our time. As she goes out, because she has the backing of religion, because, we are such a religious people, because she has that backing, she becomes fearless. She becomes fearless.
Okay. Now, Eve, let's talk about one of our...
I am quite radical in my thoughts.
Okay, let's talk about one of our own, Sarah Jibrin. In the Nigeria history, she has been the only female presidential candidate we've ever had. She had the backing of her family. I'm sure she had the backing of her husband. I remember she was the only woman who fought for the presidential nomination form to be reduced from 500,000 to 1,000. And of course, our biggest contender then was late MKO Abiola. Now, with all of those backing up, with all of those push, she moved. What was the reaction from the society?
You tell me, what was the reaction from the society? And by the way,
when I mean the society now, I'm talking about when I mean the society now, I'm talking about women. I'm sure before Sarah actually went and picked up interest form, and of course the nomination form, she had friends, she had groups of women, she had meeting women, she had church council, she had people who prayed, who said, you can do it, go and do it for her. She had all of those backing. But what happened at the primary, at the day of the primary? What happened?
The problem remains the same. Yes, she had all those, she had people who were saying, go, we are with you, and all of that. But at the end of the day, what did the church say? What is the church saying to women? What is the family unit? Those women who were supporting her, what did their husbands say to them? Say, this Sarah Jubri one, and they go, they support. Now you sabi, oh. Is that what their husband said to them? Or their husband said, go, women can do. So you see, it comes back to the foundation. No matter how much the Nigerian woman pushes, as long as the spiritual things that are holding her bound is not broken, I don't see how far she will go. You saw what happened with Sarah Jubril at the end of the day. Did she garner up to 30 votes, if we recall, over time, that every election that woman, contested for? What was her result? What was her result? And I tell you, when you look deep, when you talk to these women, when you speak to them, the issues are the same. Abego, my husband said, Abego, even so, I mean, these are the issues. I'm talking about the foundation. In my view, if the foundation is not addressed, all other things, and our foundation is religion for us.
Away from the foundation,
religion has a stronghold.
Away from the foundation, Ivy, I'm looking at a situation where women began to mobilize themselves, like the likes of Fumilayo Ramsey Kuti. She became a voice in the year 1950. And she didn't only stop there. She raised the likes of, what's it called now? Sarawa. Sarawa was a northern woman who was very young, and of course is interested in the fight for the rights of women. Fumilayo mentored her. He didn't end there. Fumilayo took her out. And of course, she became a leading voice in the northern region. Do we have women? Because if women begin to mobilize themselves, to mentor themselves, to raise other women, the foundation we're actually talking about will be fixed. Teddy.
Let me use one phrase here. Somebody was talking to me about women involvement in politics, and we were just talking, and I told the person that this inclusion should be made so open and broad so that the women would actually know. You see, it's two different things to tell you, come and get involved, and another thing to actually allow the woman to be involved. And somebody said to me, I was just telling the person, I said, you say come and get involved, but there is no broad way for this woman to get involved. He said, if we allow women so much in politics, you will just kill yourself out of jealousy. Did you see the mentality of a man? I didn't say men, a man was talking to me. It could be the mentality of so many men there, but I was talking to a man. And I said to him, with all due respect to the men in our society today, when he said women will kill themselves if given the opportunity, the question is, are women as jealous as men? No, they are not. Political killing did not start with women. Political killing was as a result of jealousy. Are you getting me? So if you say women will be so jealous, they will kill themselves, they will not want other people to come in, and the rest of it, it's not true. It's not true. Because if a woman is given this opportunity to get involved, she will definitely mentor others. If you look at voting, for example, on an election day, go to the line, go to the poll stations and see women involvement. If you have 100 men on queue, if you have 100 people on queue, you have 70 women on that queue. So what makes you feel that this person who has this interest to come out and queue for a man does not also have the interest to run for that position? Women has more interest in politics than men.
So why we not see them at the front burner?
That is the
why we not see
like,
them at the front burner doing
that's
things?
what this woman is actually.
The narrative.
There are a lot of challenges, but I just want to disagree a little with what she just said. It's not totally religion like church. It's not totally the fault of the church. No, I won't actually accept it to an extent. Yes, it is, but to an extent, no. Because if a church gives me go ahead and my husband don't accept, what happens? I won't take my pastor's decision above my husband's. I won't do that. It's even against the Bible too. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So it's purely immediate family problem. Though the church will teach you that a woman has a vision, but until she gets married, she no longer have a vision. The husband's vision becomes her vision. And if the husband's vision is for the woman not to get involved because he's involved, or he doesn't just want it at all, that vision dies. That vision dies. A woman has a time to participate on her own in anything she wants to do. The moment you marry and the husband say, oh, go on, I love what you're doing, you can push. You can still push. But once you say no, you can. The moment you say no and it becomes a family topic, or they want to talk about it, decide, you're not respecting your husband, okay, let's decide this matter. My sister, you won't like what you hear. Go back. In fact, go and tell him sorry. Your vision dies.
In other words, you're saying our society being a patriarchy system, men are highly been given more chance.
Patriarchy system
compared to women.
Yes, it's a structure.
Okay. Let me come back to Eve Africa and bring you back to the treasure base, where we saw the governor of Rivers State given the local government deputy position to all women. And we didn't see any iota of jealousy or envy. We saw women, yeah. So if that work at maybe the fourth tier of governance, will that actually help women? Let me get your response to that, Eve.
You know, I never think women, we are not our problem.
We are not.
You know, women are not the problem of women. The problem of women remains the society, remains tradition, remains. When I talk about religion, I'm not saying that the church is responsible, no, but the teachings, you know. If my church begins to teach that, look, it is okay for me to have a vision, for me to fly as much as I desire, and can my husband please support me? I tell you that narrative will change, and it is to that extent that I talk about religion. So coming back to Rivers State, yeah, we have seen what has happened. The governor, you know, in his wisdom, gave opportunities to women, and the women are doing well, and they have a strong support base, and they are, you know, mentoring and inspiring more women to go involved. Like I said, and like we all know, when it comes to the nitty-gritty, the place of decision, when it comes to the place of result, the place of examination, as it were, in the political space, the problem will always be tradition, religion, you know. The women supporting this, you see, the women who support women, more women would like to support more women, but you see, that voice back at home, this your friend, this on our car, this thing, that thing, and all of that, remains our limitation, in my view. Like Madame said, you know, in fact,
okay, I think we've lost the sound. In March 2021, there was a global UN summit for basic for women leadership, and of course, one of the major themes that was championed was gender equality. According to the Leadership UN Female Summit, was that if we had gender balance, what applies to men applies to women. Women will be able to access leadership position. If women at the grassroots start rooting for gender equality, I think that struggle in Nigeria. It started about 3 years ago. And of course, it's also one of the bill women are still struggling to get assent to at the House of Representatives now. If women begin to root for gender equality at all levels, she mentioned tradition, you mentioned culture, you mentioned religion. Now, maybe all of these bottlenecks will be cut off. What do you think about that?
First and foremost, let me put this to you. There is nothing like gender equality. It will never happen. Are you getting me?
Why did you say
Yeah,
so?
why I said so is a clear... See, I'm a woman. I want it. If you give it to me, I will take it. But you will never get it.
But you're so blunt about saying that.
Yes.
You're not optimistic that it may happen someday.
See, yeah, it won't happen.
What if we have a female president?
We will have a female president.
So
Probably.
you don't know if she's able to change that?
That is not equality. If I'm president of Nigeria tomorrow, can you equate that with the numbers of presidents that has come and gone? No. When you say equality, for example, parliament, the seats should be equal. You won't have it. Let's not deceive ourselves because we're on national TV to give them more. Let's get something right. Now, if you say equality, everything that transpired at the immediate family levels are the things that govern our wider society. And in immediate family level, there is no equality. It will never be. In fact, to me, when you say equality, when you mention something, that's why I'm actually debunking this. You say at all level. No, now you can't have equality at all level. Imagine you and your husband becoming equal. It won't happen. If you go for it, you are fighting the home. That place, rule it off. Sorry, rule that particular side off. Politically, fine. How do you have this equality? Parliamentary seats, decision making. You have equality. How do you get it? What you should be talking about is quota. Quota system. For this start, let's have quota system. When quota is given to the women and said, okay, we have 100 seats. Women, please give us 30. From 30, we can actually push. But if you want the thing to come out to that and say, we must have it 50-50, beloved, a man with his mentality from home.
So if women say they are rooting for 30, don't you think this challenge will still be there?
See, that's what I'm saying. I say quota.
If women are not...
Women are pushing for it.
If women are not properly represented, do you think all of those challenges you've mentioned will be fixed?
See, one should have quota system.
You mentioned one. We are saying 1 out of 10. And there is no balance. Now, if you say you're rooting for
between
equity,
30 to 40.
If we say you're rooting for equity, now you finally get your equity. Will all this bottleneck not be sorted out?
See, beloved, let's put this thing right. If we have 30 to 40 by quota system, we will make a lot of impact. Don't forget, a woman has voice. When you have one woman in the midst of 10 men, their voice will always count. That is the truth about it. So by the time we have 30 to 40 women out of 100, it will give us a lift. But if you tell me that it will be 50-50 and the men actually in political arena will allow you, I don't know how it's going to be.
Okay, let's talk about capacity building and the area of political, in the political space. Some persons will say women are not equipped intellectually. Women are not equipped in the area of leadership, political antics and pancakes that governs the political space. Women are not equipped. What do you think about that? Let me get to Ivy. Ivy, are you back? Ivy, can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, I'm here.
Okay, let's talk about...
I can hear you.
Let's talk about capacity building. I don't know if you heard us where she said if women are given quota system. She said 30 to 100. I don't know what...
To 40.
30 to 40. What do you think about that?
Yes. that conversation was very interesting. I was listening. Well, concerning quota system, in my view, I don't think quota system, any sort of quota will change anything.
So
what I think will change things is a shift in the narrative, and that can only come when we all just decide to take our place, our position anywhere, be it in politics, be it in corporate, in the corporate world, anywhere women find themselves. women should stop giving the excuse of, hey, man do this, man do that, man do that. No. Go out, be your best, and, open the door for other women to come in. Give them opportunities. As we occupy the space, very soon, we will have the quotas we want, naturally. But if we want a quota, a certain percentage to be given to us without we moving, what if they give us 30% and we don't find 30% engaging women? What will happen? They will take the remaining, the balance, So, but when it comes to capacity building, like you said, the Nigerian woman is very equipped, mentally, spiritually, financially. Remember that if you go to any working space, you find more women.
Ivy, political space is not about spirituality. It's not about prayer warrior thing or prayer fortress thing. It's for you to be equipped with the requisite knowledge about politics.
No, your state of mind is very important. Even that, even when you come to that, in any space you go, you find the Nigerian woman equipped. Her mental alertness is on top, is 90%, anywhere you find a Nigerian woman, she's on top of her game.
Yeah.
Anywhere you find a Nigerian woman, she's on top of her game. So I don't think that in politics, one will say we don't have the capacity. We have. Look at the female politicians we have. I can name quite a number for you. And when you look at their profile, they have very awe-inspiring profiles. So I don't think capacity is the issue.
Okay. Now we saw Obi during the last election, Obi Ezekwesili, why the tension, women were rooting both in villages and rural area. We saw her quit along the line. So can we infer from that women are ready? Because as at that time during the election, she was like the only woman rather. And Nigerian women were rooting for her. You could see the joy, you could see the light that came on the faces of women across board. But when she came up and gave that sad news on that day, you could see even the weather wasn't too happy when she gave up, that she wasn't interested in pursuing the quest.
Well, you know that we don't know how prepared she was for the journey she wanted to do.
That's why I mentioned capacity building. That's why I mentioned capacity building. So that is not just about spirituality. It's not about being mentally alert. It's understanding what spans out in the political space.
No. We can't judge. We can't use Obi Ezekwesili and judge the Nigerian woman. I don't think we can do that. You ask me why. Look at even our local politics. We have women who have engaged, to the end and all of it. Obi is one. She's just a tiny. She's not even up to a 1% to judge the Nigerian woman, in my view. Concerning that journey, if you remember, it was a collaboration between herself, Sowore, and Mogalo. There was, and what's his other name now? There were about 4 of them. It was a collabo. Along the line, how did that collaboration, disintegrate? How did they? Because they were expected, the Nigerians expected them to choose one person out of the 4 of them. And before you know it, all 4 went, So it shows unpreparedness in my view. Because if I have agreed with you to go on a particular journey, irrespective of the outcome, irrespective of my personal ambition, I should go with you the whole hog. So in my view, that is not a good enough example to measure the Nigerian woman by, concerning how prepared she is. We have Sarah Jubri. Sarah Jubri has been going, each time she goes to the end. Each time she goes, in spite of the result. You know how destabilizing failure can be. But each time she had hope, she had faith to say that, look, one of these days, this thing will come true for me. I think that should be a better measuring stick than Obi Ezekwesili.
Sarah Jubrin believes that Nigerian women should begin to mobilize in her words. She said, women are still needed in the political space to mother Nigeria back to sanity. That's a word. that women are needed in the political space to mother back Nigeria into senating. 2023 is just around the corner. Should women start mobilizing themselves to
Of course.
bring back Nigeria?
They should. And I
According
think
to
they have
Senate.
started.
They've started.
Yeah.
Okay.
They should. They know the timetable. They know the timetable. And if this is 2021, if they've not started mobilizing by 2021, then 2023, they would have failed. But I expect, I'm not a politician, so I wouldn't know. But for me, if I have a project, a huge project in 2 years' time, I should have started by now. So I think they should have started. And those women, they are very astute. Eh? You have one of the most astute set of women as politicians in Nigeria. It's just that perhaps their number is not so great to move the equation, to turn things their way. Otherwise, you have some of the most intelligent women, I think, looking at their profile and looking at the mileage they have brought, you know. It's not, I remember as a young girl when I tried to be a politician, I just gave birth to my last child, and the movement, you were required to be in meetings sometimes they'll tell you 1 a.m. is when the meeting will start. And this meeting will go on till 4 a.m. And you're a woman in marriage, or you're a mother, a homemaker, a homekeeper, and all of that. The constraints are immense, But, I mean, so that tells you, the number of women you have seen succeeding, that tells you the kind of sacrifice that they have put in. But, of course, we know that in any venture, immense sacrifice is required.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ivy.
I think they are ready.
All right, thank you so much, Ivy. Let me get your final thoughts. She said preparedness is key. What sort of preparedness do you think women can begin to put in, harmonize at this crucial stage?
Like she said, the Nigerian woman is already ready, or women, they are ready. Because if you say they are not ready, I wouldn't take that with you. They are ready. The women have already put their things together. If you look at River State, where we are today, likes of Maureen Terminal, who is an ambassador, she's a politician, a great one, and Victoria Yeche. These are women that has played Rivers politics very well, and they are very ready. And I'm sure they are also mobilizing other women for that 2023. Do you understand? Now, if you talk about, just like she said, involved when we were younger, I actually got involved in politics too. At my early stage, let's say university stage, I was actually the acting president of Student Union Government in University of Port Harcourt in the year 2001. And it wasn't funny, just like she's saying, midnight meetings and the rest of it. So these women, not just them doing the sacrifice, but their children. The people who do the more of the sacrifice are the children. Are you getting me? Yeah. So they are very ready. They are very ready.
All right, thank you so much, beautiful ladies, for lending your voice to this important topic, women participation in governance. Thank you, Pastor Teddy, for coming on the show. And of course, my guest via Zoom, thank you, Ivy, for being part of the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I've learned quite a lot even myself this morning.
Thank you.
Pastor Teddy, I send special greetings to you, ma.
Thank you, ma. Thank you, ma. Thank you. I love you so much.
All right, we'll go on that short break and we'll begin our next conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
I remain committed to the United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
Sir, my amendment is that Mr. President should be invited to come and explain the situation.
For the Nigerian government to stop killing its people and make
Hi, welcome back. This time around, we'll talk COVID increase in infection rate. Now, on Tuesday, July the 27th, Nigeria recorded 404 additional COVID-19 cases across the country, representing the highest number of daily cases in over 4 months. Although no death was reported on Tuesday, the reported number of cases is the biggest daily increase in the country since March 4, when 708 cases were confirmed, taking the total count to 171,728 infections and 2,134 casualties. This was disclosed by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and CDC. In its latest updates on the coronavirus outbreak on Wednesday morning, according to the News Agency of Nigeria, available data from the NCDC shows that a total of 4,010 cases have been recorded so far in the month of July, a significant increase compared to 1,100 and 1,394 recorded in the month of June and May 2021, respectively. The 404 infections were reported in 11 states, with Lagos State making the highest contribution of 356 and the day under review. Amidst the fear of the Delta variant, what is the major cause for this surge? Joining me now via Zoom, a consultant of public health, a physician, UPTH, Dr. Omosive Maduka. Thanks for joining us on the show this beautiful morning.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Okay. Quickly, we'll go to the conversation. In March 4th, 2021, we had 708 cases confirmed. In July, so far, we have 4,010. In June, we had 1,100. And in May, we had 1,394. Now, is this coming as a shock to you, Dr. Omosive?
No, not at all. So we've seen in other countries and other places in sub-Saharan Africa, South Africa, for example, we saw what happened in India, and we know that the world is more or less a global village. What is happening in one part of the world can quickly spread and affect another part of the world. So we knew that we would soon be seeing an uprise in cases in Nigeria, with the possibility of us firmly entering into the third wave that other countries have been experiencing.
Okay, now amidst the fear of the Delta variant, and of course, knowing fully well that the first case of this coronavirus was detected in Lagos through an international traveler. Now, amidst all of this fear, and now we're having a rising case coming still from Lagos, does it mean that compliance are not tightening up in Lagos? Hello, Dr. Masivi, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm here with you. I don't know whether it's my network or yours, but I found a bit of lag trying to get what you were saying. But I do recall I picked up the fact that you were talking about Lagos being the epicenter of the outbreak from the first wave, even the second wave, and even now that we've entered into the third wave. It's obvious because Lagos is the most cosmopolitan city, state that we have in the country. And most of the time, the international travels and interactions from outside of Nigeria come first into Lagos. So none of this is actually a surprise. But the thing is that with variants of interest, which is what the Delta variant, the B1 variant, other variants are called. With variants of interest, what you find is that each variant has found a way through the genetic mutation process, which is actually something that happens naturally as the virus is trying to replicate itself and form new strains. Some of these strains may take on slightly different characteristics from the strains that would have happened in the past that we have become used to, and probably even try to develop measures, countermeasures against. And if you have a densely populated and highly cosmopolitan with a high mobility, a place like Lagos, there's bound to be spread. And then, of course, what happens in Lagos starts to spread across the country to states that also have land borders and sea borders and airports. And then, of course, across the country. Yes.
Okay. Now, one will thought that with the vaccine, availability of the vaccine, and of course, Nigerians are beginning to respond to taking the first jab, the second jab. One would have expect a reduction in the confirmed cases.
Okay, so we do not have enough Nigerians who have been vaccinated for us to start to see what we call herd immunity. So herd immunity is because the majority of people, we start talking about herd immunity, when you talk about 80% of the population or more haven't been vaccinated, they have a way of conferring some sort of protection for the other few people who have not been vaccinated. But right now, we're still doing single-digit percentage of coverage for vaccination across the country. And so the millions of doses that we received were only able to cover a very small percentage of the population. And we did a very good job making sure that those vaccines got to people, overcoming the hesitancy issues, overcoming the rejection, the disinformation and misinformation that came across from some social media and people just telling stories and all of that. So we've done a fantastic job as a country, but it's not enough to cover the entire population. But another interesting thing you will see, and I don't have all the facts and figures to confirm this, but from my experience working with in Rivers State, in Port Harcourt, and looking at the people who have come down with this disease in the third wave that we are in, majority of them, in fact, I haven't seen one who's been vaccinated who came down with the illness. So you are dealing with people who are not vaccinated, who are very, very likely are the ones that are actually the highest victims of this third wave.
Okay, it's from what you said, I can infer that we're having a limited vaccine for the Nigerian population. So
yeah, go ahead.
What can Nigerians do in this regard? Because some other countries are trying to see how they can come up with their own vaccine. Of course, we saw that United States are donating vaccines to some African countries. I don't know if Nigeria is privy to that jab of vaccine donated by Joe Biden just a few weeks ago. But what do you think Nigeria can actually do in this critical stage, talking against the background of the Delta variant, to get our own vaccine, or make vaccine available for a timid population, a large population rather?
Yeah, so you know, when you talk about vaccination and plans for vaccination coverage, you have to think short term, medium term and long term. Talking about vaccine production in Nigeria is actually a long-term project. We need to set up the infrastructure, we need to set up the technology, we need to send people to go study where it is. I think we have expertise that can do it, but the enabling environment, the infrastructure, you have to build the plants, you have to bring the technology down, you have to buy the rights and the patents to existing vaccinations, and what you just do is a mass production facility in the country. That is a long-term goal, and it's actually a goal we should aim for, we should try to get to as a country. But in the short term, we need millions and millions of vaccines. I mean, our population is over 200 million. If you're going to start to scratch the surface, you need at least 40 to 50 million doses of doses for 40 to 50 million people coming into the country, and then we need to rapidly scale up vaccination. The good thing is that the phase one did end on a good note, even though there were initial challenges with hesitancy and a little bit of challenges with distribution. Those were quickly overcome. Phase two needs to be a large scale up, a huge scale up on phase one, and I'm aware that the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, who is responsible for getting vaccines into the country and getting them across the country, is working very hard at this, and I'm also aware that there are agreements with the COVAX situation to give us the vaccines that we need. So we are actually expecting a good number of vaccines to come into the country in August, and a massive campaign for vaccination thereafter.
Okay, thank you. As a way of clamping down on the spread of this virus, federal government and state governments are beginning to reintroduce the initial relaxed protocols, which include the mandatory wearing of face masks in public places and maintaining the social distance and the restriction of crowds at places in worship center and all. Now. Can we envisage another lockdown?
Well, I don't think so. This is my personal opinion, because I can't speak for any government agency or authority, but I do not think it's the way to go. We've tried lockdown. It was necessary at some point. We've seen the devastation lockdown has on the economy, on livelihoods, on even mental health of people, and we've seen that the cure for an illness may be more intolerable than the illness itself. So I do not think it has to be a really dire situation. We have to be back to double digits or triple digits mortalities for that to even come on the table as a consideration. But on the flip side of it is that we really need to continue to appeal to Nigerians. The time for being personally responsible has come back again. I know there was a lot of relaxation for some of these protocols, but simple adherence to the non-pharmaceutical interventions in the prevention and control of COVID is what we all need to come to. Let's not, by our behavior, force our governments into the point where lockdown is the only option. I don't think there's any government, federal or state, that is excited about the possibility of locking its citizens up because of COVID, the coronavirus. I don't think right now anybody's interested in that. But we also need to perform our own civic duties and responsibilities of protecting ourselves and our loved ones. Wear the mask. Wear the mask in public places.
Okay.
And I think more importantly, don't crowd.
Okay, talking about exercising our civic duties, a public announcement, of course, information dissemination is key. We could infer that most of these confirmed cases happen mostly in rural area, and of course most of these people are not privy to information. Some people feel, okay, the vaccine is available, there is no need to practice the regular hand washing, the wearing of face masks. Even when you get to tell them the fear coronavirus has come and gone. Now, what do you think government at OTS can do regarding information dissemination, of course, public service announcements, as it was initially done to curtail the spread and, of course, put people into check?
Okay, so risk communication is extremely critical at this particular point in time. It has always been critical across the response for COVID-19. So risk communication basically just has a way of providing the information that people need to be able to assess the risk they have of exposure to the virus and do what needs to be done to reduce that risk. And really, a lot of effort was put in the first and the second wave, and I think that needs to be ramped up now. We're beginning to hear it. We're beginning to hear it, and partnerships with media agencies and organizations like yours, also for performing your social responsibility and providing this information at no cost at all. It's really important and necessary. But I really do not 100% agree with you that most of the confirmed cases are in rural areas. In fact, my experience has shown that the urban, densely populated areas of the country, for example, Port Harcourt, the two local government areas that were hard hit were the urban local government, the cosmopolitan local governments, Obiapo and Falga. That has been their experience in Lagos, mainland, and all of that. These are people who are densely populated, crowded, who are meeting together, who are having large gatherings and all of that have been more affected. And the people in the rural communities have not been as badly affected as those of us in the urban communities. But I get your point, and you're very correct. These communication activities need to come back full blown, and I think news agencies like yours have a lot of role to play, as well as the experts. So keep bringing the experts on board. NCDC is doing what they can, and they will continue to do what they can. The Presidential Task Force is doing what they can. But I think that you and I working together, we can actually keep putting the information out there, TV, radio, and every outlet that people can listen to. Research that we did during the first and second wave showed that people got their information mostly from radio, followed by television, even before health education and all the experts.
Okay, yes. Thank you so much. Now, you mentioned crowded places. We'll see social activities beginning to regain its strength. But what we get to see when we see some of these videos is that people get to wear face masks, but they still maintain close contact. Could the virus be spread in that regards? They're wearing face masks, but they still group together, they still crowd themselves together. If someone is infected around there, is it possible for easy transmission to an uninfected person?
Okay, so transmissibility is dependent on a couple of factors. First of all, it's dependent on exposure to the nose, the mouth, and all the other orifices through which the viral particles can come in. It's also dependent on the amount of time you spend in close proximity to someone who is infected. So, for example, we say that a higher risk contact is someone that spends 15 minutes or more in the presence, in the company, close company of someone who is infected. Wearing a mask reduces that risk but does not eliminate it. So even if we still talk about physical distancing, keep that 2-meter distance, keep your space, because wearing a mask and keeping your space pushes you to close to 100% protection. Washing your hands pushes you to 100% protection. But when you compromise one of these things and just think that because you're wearing a mask, you can come as close to people as possible, then you will still have some risk in infected. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Finally, before I let you go, what can we do at our airports? Because this Delta variant got to Nigeria through an international traveler. What do you think we can do at this airport region, at our borders and all that?
So I think that you bring up a very interesting point. I travel a bit frequently, and I see from airport to airport the different measures that are in place or not in place at various places. So the same things apply in our social and gatherings and our public places should apply in the airports. But the thing about airports is that international airports need to, and it's already in place, but we need to be very thorough about screening people. We need to be very thorough about ensuring that people have their COVID tests properly done and we see the results. We need to be very clear about tracking people, getting their details and making sure that they are isolating after they come into the country. But even at the local ports, the distancing, those marks they put on the ground where you have to be at the right distance from the other person, it needs to be enforced. There are some airports, like I can tell you in Port Harcourt International Airport or Magua, it's enforced to a large extent. But there are some other airports I've gone to and that's not been enforced. Temperature checks, hand sanitizing at every stage and every point in time. Our airport officials really need to, right now more than ever before, step out and step up, and we need to get it done there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mosivir Maduka, a consultant public health physician, UPTH. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I'm happy I could make our time to be here with you.
Have a nice day. All right, up next, we'll talk sports. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Anchor on the facts, breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide range of topics.
Atlantic Television Network, home for in-depth reportage. Facts, professionalism, all the news you need. Atlantic Television Network. Atlantic Television Network.
Atlantic Television Network, anchoring facts.
Welcome back. This time around we talk sport. There seems to be a latest and record every day at the Tokyo Olympic Games. And yesterday, a Nigerian set a new record as well. Siri, talk to us, how did this happen?
Well, it quite happened in a spectacular fashion as a 17-year-old Nigerian swimmer Habibat Abiola Ogubo recorded the country's second win at the ongoing Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games after claiming victory in Heat 1 of the women's 100 meters freestyle swimming in a time of 59.74 seconds, breaking Ngozi Monu's 14-year-old national record. However, our hopes of advancing to the semi-finals were dashed as her time was only the 50th best in the event, not enough to secure the teenager a spot in the semi-finals. And regardless of the outcome, Ogubo can hold her head high up after adding the 100 meters national record to the 400 meters freestyle and 200 meters breaststroke national records she currently holds. And now, while she must be pleased with her performance, some other athletes won't get the chance to compete, as 10 Nigerian athletes have been ruled ineligible to participate at the ongoing Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games in Japan by the Athletics Integrity Unit, reducing the country's hope for a successful competition. The athletes were ruled ineligible due to failure to meet the minimum testing requirements under Rule 15 of the anti-doping rules for Category A federations. The body revealed that the total number of 18 athletes were ruled ineligible to compete at the Tokyo Olympics, with Nigeria accounting for majority with 10 athletes. Other countries who had some of their athletes disqualified are Belarus, Ukraine, who both had 3 athletes banned, Kenya had 2, Morocco and Kenya, and Ethiopia, who had 1 athlete each were sent packing from the games. Nigeria was listed in Category A at the start of 2020 after a continued period of weak domestic testing levels. And talking about doping, Swiss sprinter Alex Wilson is out of the Tokyo Olympics after his provisional ban for anti-doping rule violation was reinstated with immediate effect. Jamaican-born Wilson, who is registered to compete in the men's 100 meters and 200 meters events, was provisionally suspended by the anti-doping body in Switzerland in April after testing positive for the banned steroid Trebolone in an out-of-competition test in March. Wilson had appealed his suspension on the grounds that he had unknowingly ingested the substance after eating contaminated meat in the United States of America. His ban was lifted by the Supreme Chamber of Swiss Olympic, the umbrella organization for Swiss sports, and the National Olympic Committee at the start of July. Global governing body World Athletics appealed Swiss Olympics decision to lift the provisional suspension to the Court of Arbitration for Sports, which set aside the decision and reimposed the ban yesterday, the 28th of July 2021. And still around the Olympic Games, Judo's governing body has formally warned a coach who slapped a female athlete hard in the face twice to prepare her for an Olympic bout. German judoka Martina Trajos later defended coach Gladys Busas from criticism, saying it was her request to fire her up before stepping on the mat. However, that did not satisfy the International Judo Federation, who issued a warning a day after the incident shocked Olympic viewers, as the International Judo Federation said it is issued a serious warning for the German team coach for bad behavior he showed, stating that judo is an educational sport and such cannot tolerate a behavior as that instance. In reference to the slaps, Trajo, who lost the bout, later wrote on our Instagram that it looks like the slaps were not hard enough. Well, away from the games, in basketball, at least 3 players of the Nigerian descent have been tipped to be selected in the 2021 NBA draft scheduled to hold today at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. The players are Usman Garuba, Charles Bassey, and Ayo Dusumu. According to the latest mock draft, both Garuba and Dusumu are projected first and second round selections for the New York Knicks, respectively. Born in Madrid, Spain, Garuba, who became the youngest starter in Madrid history in 2019 at the age of 17, is currently representing the Spanish national basketball team at the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo. Dusumu was born in Chicago to Nigerian parents. Bassey was raised in Lagos, Nigeria, and played football until the age of 12. The number is a decline from the 2020 draft, where a total of 8 players of Nigerian descent were selected. And finally, we head to football, where the Football Association and Premier League have issued new guidelines to clubs regarding headers. The recommendations are focused on reducing the number of higher force headers players do in training. The guidance has been agreed by the Football Association, the Premier League, English Football League, the Professional Footballers Association, and the League Managers Association, and applies to all levels of English football, including the grassroots and amateur, starting from the 2021-2022 football season.
I never knew slap could reawaken the winning spirit in any athlete. Anyways, thank you so much for getting us up to speed with the latest happening in the world of sports. So sad to see that those 10 athletes won't compete at the Olympics this year, but there are some Nigerian athletes in action today.
Well, there will be no action for Team Nigeria at the games today, but we will see some of our athletes compete tomorrow on Friday, the 30th of July 2021, starting as early as 12:15 a.m. when Esther Toko will compete in the women's singles course final E in rowing. Thereafter, Nigeria's women basketball team, the D Tigers, will take on France by 9:20 a.m. And finally, we will get our first bit of action on the tracks as the mixed 4x400 meters relay team will take part in Heat 1 by 12 noon tomorrow.
That's a good one. Seems there's a ray of hope for Nigerians. Thank you so much, Siri. And again, that's the show this morning. Do well to follow us on Facebook and YouTube on Atlantic Television Network. That's the handle. And of course, on Instagram is Atlantic TV Network. I'm Flora Duke. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.